Hello and welcome to episode 56 of the Craving Crypto podcast. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about whether cryptocurrency is capitulating or not. So, let's get right into this. It is now time for our market overview. Today is going to be a really awesome one. Going to go into a lot of details about the total market cap and Bitcoin and all of the altcoins in general, because this is really crucial times for the entire trend as a whole. There's a lot of opinions for both directions, a lot of confusion, a lot of people that are probably getting overwhelmed with the market. So I wanted to go into some details, talk a little bit about like EOS, Ethereum, talk a little bit about Bitcoin, what's kind of happening, what to look for, what a capitulation event looks like, and we're just going to go over the whole shebang. So that is also, it's all going to be together with the lesson. Just understand that the market overview is kind of coinciding with the lesson as a whole today. But let's just go over and talk specifically about the total market cap first. We rejected pretty significantly off the 219 level, and we did have a complete support failure of 203 and a complete support failure of 197. So the market fell quickly as we said it would. Now, if you remember, we were predicting that 176 billion would be tested. I have now changed this to 146 because we are looking at two different new options now that our downside target was met and reached. But it hit 176 billion, almost to the basically right on the money. I think the exact bottom was 175 billion. But then we got this nice bounce right here and started to see a little bit of recovery from the downside movement. Now, what I expect to happen here is I expect that we go up into some of these resistance levels. We're going to go ahead and switch these into red because they used to be support. They are now definitely resistance. I suspect that we'll go up into these resistance levels and start to curl. Now, if we can get above 192, our primary target will be 240 billion still. And if we can really get above the 219 again that we rejected significantly off of, we'll be back to developing a positive and a bullish trend in this market. But I will say this does show some short-term weakness. So I'm going to be looking at two main scenarios that we're going to be talking about here for the markets and kind of going over those with Bitcoin, and then talking a little bit about what's possible with Ethereum and EOS and some of these other coins as well. Checking out Bitcoin right now, I wanted to talk about what capitulation event looks like and kind of go over the capitulation events that have happened with Bitcoin and compare them to some other coins right now. With the actual total market cap, we have seen that sell-off, but for some reason, the altcoin setups are showing more strength than Bitcoin did. Now, that doesn't mean that they didn't bleed and that they didn't drop like 10 and 15%, but Bitcoin, whereas Bitcoin made a new low, altcoin setups tested support and picked up in volume. This could potentially show a little bit of strength in the altcoin markets here. Now, if altcoins pick back up this drop, I do see a potential of this being a bottom here. Now, I'm not going to say that's for sure, but just based out of the fact that if this fractal does a double bottom here and we do not have a support failure, it will continue to develop an upside trend. Now, the overall trend has been downside, so we do see weakness, and I'm not saying that there's a high likelihood of this happening, but I'm just pointing out that this could happen based on the way that markets have bottomed in the past. If you notice, most of the time when you have bottom structure, you get one sell-off and then you bounce, and then you get kind of a head and shoulders pattern and then another capitulation event. And if we look at what happened with Bitcoin here, it's that same kind of pattern that happened in 2015 with Bitcoin. And if we look at Ethereum, Ethereum is the one that really, really looks a lot like this. This same kind of pattern where it goes down. It even makes just a tiny bit of a new low there. But it's that same double bottom fractal pattern between those two markets. So that's just one thing that I'm watching here. Now, obviously, if support doesn't hold, this is why it's a really crucial time. If we do not have these lower support levels hold on any of these coins, so for the total market cap, if 176 or 75 doesn't hold, and for EOS, if like $4.48 doesn't hold, and for Ethereum, if 165 doesn't hold. So we're at these really crucial points, but we're picking up a lot in volume. That volume can be pretty significant. Now, you have to remember that Elliott wave theory teaches that at the bottom of an ABC correction is the best time to be buying. You have to ask yourself, where is the bottom of this C wave? How many lows are we going to have here in Ethereum before the trend starts developing upside growth and upside movement? Look at this volume spike. It's equal. It's actually bigger to the volume spike that we had right here in September. So there is a solid argument for us having a double bottom due to the support holding on a lot of altcoin setups, and then this being a falling wedge pattern onto the logarithmic major trend line. That these logarithmic trend lines are more meaningful than trend lines on linear scales. They're going to be more powerful, essentially. So when you're drawing trend lines, if you draw them on the log scale, you're going to get more strength in that trend line, and that's what we're seeing here with this huge logarithmic trend line. So there is the argument for this being a bottom in place, right? And I'm aware of that, and I'm watching that as a potential here. So my primary option is that we start developing a trend towards 240 billion, but this is a really crucial time, and we did sell off, and if support doesn't hold at this major level right here, this is, look you guys, this right here is a big support level from all the way over. So if this big huge support level doesn't hold on like EOS and Ethereum and some of those other coins, I mean, it would go into no man's land for a minute, and the downside would be extended. So let's kind of go into what it might look like if we go into no man's land and if support fails on these altcoins and Bitcoin, what that would look like. So first of all, with Bitcoin, looking at it, let's go back over here to our Bitcoin chart that we were looking at on, I believe Bitstamp was our, either way we'll use Bitstamp. Just looking here, you guys, we do have this right here is our Fibonacci tool going from the low to the high. We do have the possibility to test the 786 at 5,000. Well, actually, this is a little bit below 5,000, or even down to the 88% retracement. So if no man's land is what happens, now from an Elliott wave count perspective, no man's land is less logical. It doesn't really make sense because this, we made a new low. So that means that this is all officially a WXYXZ correction. So we're just picking the bottom of that Z wave. Now, it could be at the 786, but it going all the way down into the 88% or 3,000, which is a target that a lot of people on Twitter and crypto Twitter have potentially been watching, is less probable from an Elliott wave perspective because this is a WXYXZ correction, and this Z wave, it needs to have another Fibonacci target level reached, you would need another wave essentially. And in a WXYXZ wave correction, we've already had the Y and the X wave. So to have a Z wave, another wave, isn't necessarily, there's not another wave left in this pattern to go down to the $3,000 levels. So I personally think worst case scenario for Bitcoin is not much further than below 5,000 per coin. with the altcoin markets, if we do see a retracement down to the 786, they could bleed below support, they could drop down, and they could see, 20% drops again, like that blood that we have been seeing in the market cap. So just watch those support levels. If you're a day trader, short-term trader, or you trade any of those swings, short at the support failure, of all these altcoins, and then start to accumulate when we get lower after that 20% drop. But you guys, that's kind of my perspective. It's still one of those things where we're in a heavily capitulated market. Volume right here, you guys, the Z wave can be in the bottom right now. The Z wave could be at the 786, around 5,000. We're just waiting to get that confirmation on the last wave. In a WXY correction, you have all ABCs. So this is what that looks like. ABC, 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 ABC. So that's a WXYXZ correction, and the 786 is what we would be watching for the final wave kind of that move. Or like I said, the other alternative is that we are landing onto that major support trend line and that the bottom is already in. So that's what we're watching here with the total market cap. You guys, it's all about the fact that we're heavily oversold in the big picture. 5,000 is the 786. Those lower Fibonacci levels are always tested. Capitulation is when everybody stops, get taken out, and these huge sell-offs are opportunities. You remember everything that we've talked about with human psychology and market psychology. This is, it's either like this, we drop a little bit more, or we've already found the bottom of the biggest next wave in one of the craziest markets in history. So it's like we have to go through one more wave of pain, or we've already went through it. So you guys, the future is bright in my opinion, just like I talked about in the last episode. And I see this as capitulation. We could drop a little bit further, but this is shaking out, and this is the beginning of new cycles for crypto to come. Like I said, we'll see where that exact price point is, but once that trend is developing, I'm very excited for the cryptocurrency markets as a whole. So anyways, that's kind of my take on things. Again, it's all about those support levels. We're just going to watch and see what happens here. This is also the structure. I don't know if you guys noticed, but this is a big giant falling wedge for Bitcoin. So just wanted to point that out before we close out and talk about the referrals and stuff like that. So you guys, with a volume spike like that, all I'm saying is if you're still watching my videos, like, don't get shaken out now. Like, out of everything I've ever taught and preached, like, now is not the time to be getting shaken out and being a fearful person in this space. This is gonna turn around, you guys. Good things to come. Let's go down here. Binance, if you want to do altcoin trading, great exchange. The coin market cap chart, if you want to do charting, this is, if you want to look at the analysis of the day, this is where you can. Coinigy, if you're into altcoin charting. BitMEX, if you're into leverage trading. Bitcoin address. If you like what I'm doing, you can send donations that way. And my website, if you want to leapfrog your learning and get the VIP course and take your trading to the next level. Thank you so much for tuning in today's episode. I hope that you learned something. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to drop them in the box below. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys in the next videos. As always, stay profitable out there.